What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Pete the Durag. And today, I've got kind of a different video for you guys. I think a lot of my videos previously have been very spiritual, mindset oriented, and there will be plenty of that for this channel. But I think a little bit more of some of the more practical, tangible things should also be addressed on this channel, and just certain things that I've picked up through my own journey, and maybe some things might be a little different from other videos you've seen, little nuances here and there. And I try to keep it pretty concise and just go deep on some of the things I think really matter, sort of that 80/20 principle, if you will, of what is most important. So I'll try to apply that to today's topic in terms of looks, right? And the idea that looks matter and why they matter, and where this whole wave of looks maxing came from and why it's so trending, right? Maybe not so much now, but it's almost become sort of a more normalized part, right? Especially for men. So I'll kind of touch points for men and women, but when it comes to the how to become the more attractive part of yourself, sorry, ladies, can't really speak to you on that one, but I will first start with the halo effect. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't. And if you haven't, essentially the halo effect is this concept, and it's been studied pretty extensively, honestly. I was kind of surprised at how deeply this effect and this correlation of attractive people and basically being associated with more positive traits, how well documented it is, honestly. And that's really what the halo effect is. Essentially, the fact that the more attractive somebody is, the more likely they are to exhibit positive qualities, right? Which is a crazy thing when you say it out loud, but intuitively, it's some sort of deep rooted evolutionary thing where us as humans, we view an attractive person as possessing these qualities already, right? And jumping down here a little bit, attraction has a massive impact on people's perception, right? And what they perceive as attractive, really, especially a first impression, right? A stranger or some people meeting for the first time, a lot of that interaction is going to be under the tone of how attractive that person is, right? More subconsciously than consciously, obviously, but really in how they're getting treated and how that person will perceive that person will be quite literally manipulated based on how attractive they find them. So you can see how someone looks can really be an X factor into how a situation plays out, right? An interaction, an interview, a date, whatever it may be, a joke even, right? Telling a joke could be the same exact line from, and presented the same exact way, but one person's attractive, one's not. One person's funny, one person's trying to be funny. One guy's trying to spit game to a girl, says the same line, delivers it the same way. One guy's attractive, one's not. One guy's charming, other guy's creepy, right? So this is where these perceptions start to get altered, and the main variable here that we're going to be looking at is people who are attractive, right? Beauty, as it were. Um, and the reason we're going to look at that is because, given what I've just said, this effect can really be leveraged to progress further in various aspects of your life, right? Especially when we're talking about things that kind of require soft skills. I kind of mentioned a few already, right? Like dating, interviews, networking with people, building and strengthening relationships. All of these things play a factor, right? Being a leader of some sort, right? Being able to build a team and get people to follow you and your principles, like being more attractive will help you with these things because of this halo effect. So we'll kind of talk about what I think society has been deeming more so the halo effect, right? If halo effect is the roots, pretty privilege has become sort of the flower or the leaves that is more widely seen and known, and sort of the term that's tossed around a lot more. And essentially, I've kind of divided them, and I sort of talked about it a bit in Halo Effect, but the Halo Effect is more so people's perceptions, whereas pretty privilege is like the actual outcome of that thing. So here's what I mean, and stay with me here. Halo effect, right? Something that's happening subconsciously, psychologically, where a person is going to perceive or think or make judgments about a person, and those judgments will be biased based in either positively if they find them attractive, or negatively if they find them unattractive, right? Pretty privilege is obviously the act of already being considered attractive, right? An attractive person gaining things from other people based on those perceptions, based on that halo effect. Essentially, all of the things in the halo effect that lead to a bias that people have, typically a positive bias for these attractive people, lead to them producing more positive interactions with these people, showing them more respect, having more patience with them, uh, laughing with them more, right? Wanting to inject positive emotions, being open minded, being kind, right? It's largely due to the halo effect because you're already perceiving that person as sort of earning these qualities, right? They should have your respect already. They should have your patience because they are already kind, caring, intelligent, funny, whatever positive trait you've already subconsciously sort of insinuated, right? And then it comes out in the real world as these certain actions that you sort of just impulsively give, right? You impulsively give, and guys do it to each other, right? Not to get too weird about it or whatever, but you see a dude, he's well put together. You're going to treat that guy with more initial respect, right? And attention than you might the homeless dude, right? These things work in a variety of interactions, right? It's just how humans interact with each other. So understand that the other part of this, and the part that I think is a lot more known and that social media has kind of played around with a lot when it comes to pretty privilege, is that good looking people get away with things that otherwise they wouldn't if they didn't look like that, right? If they weren't perceived as attractive, if these people weren't under the spell of the halo effect. That can be super powerful, right? That goes back to the leverage we were talking about. And again, this isn't like a video trying to tell you guys like, okay, get attractive so you can manipulate people. And what it is you almost need to be attractive. And again, I'll kind of get in and break that down and how to steps in the next couple slides here, but you need to do that so that you can garner these things from people and deliver the value to them, right? You need to have somebody's respect so they will actually listen to what you say. You need people to be patient so you have time to develop your thoughts and communicate effectively and with some depth. You need that kindness, right, to be able to network and build and explore and grow your community, right? And the people you know in your life and share that knowledge. So it goes so much deeper than just getting some pussy or whatever the fuck you might be thinking. And if you want that, guys, that's totally cool. I'm not gonna totally downplay that, but understand that's not really the reason I'm making this video. I want you to see just how dynamic this concept can be, where I just feel social media sort of put looks maxing into this box of dating, and that's really it, right? It goes so much more beyond that. So this last point here, kind of just showing you the flow of what we're working with, where something that's attractive generates attraction, right? It's attracting things to it, and thus it's garnering attention, right? So that speaks to the point I was just talking about and why I think this is so important for you guys to try to become the most attractive version of yourself, is because you will garner people's attention, right? And you will get their ears and their eyes on you so that when you speak, there's somebody on the other end listening. How do we get attractive? Number one, and just so you guys know, I really only have like 3 slides on about how to get attractive. So if you want some mega in-depth guide, um, that's not like a product I sell right now or whatever the hell, you can go watch some other guys' hour-long YouTube video about that. I'm just going to talk to you about what I personally believe are the biggest things as a man to improve your looks. Number one is body. Called it body game, right? I've been hearing that a lot. You don't need to be Zac Efron. You don't need to be Dwayne The Rock Johnson, right? You don't need to go super crazy with this thing, but understand a few things. You don't want to be overweight and you don't want to be too skinny, right? Get in the gym, move your body, build some muscle, don't have too much fat, right? I'm not going to get into the specifics of body fat percentage and you should be, 12 to 15%. Like, honestly, if you look in the mirror and you can honestly say to yourself, I look pretty damn good, you're on the right track, right? And how do you feel? Do you have the energy, right? Do you feel good about yourself? Is your confidence being boosted? Like these internal things, I think are a lot better cues if you're somebody who's very overweight or very skinny at the moment, right? Don't get so fixated on the numbers and oh shit, I gotta fucking, make sure I'm progressive overloading in a certain rep range. If it, guys, like you don't need to get super into the science. And if you do, obviously do your research, right? Especially in terms of executing exercises if you're at the gym and things like that. And especially the second point of your diet, right? Changing your eating habits. If you eat a lot of processed shit, a lot of shit out of boxes, stuff with ingredients you can't pronounce, you don't know what it is, cut back on that. Cut it out completely, is in my opinion. Understand my belief is this idea is not going on a diet. This should be a lifestyle change for things way beyond the scope of this video, right? Just in terms of your longevity and well-being and this life that you're going to live, right? So take care of your body. Cut out the obvious bullshit, man. Fast food, sugary drinks, like just excessive sugar in general, right? Alcohol. Come on, man. Like this is the easy stuff that you guys are, the alcohol is a big one, honestly. Like that was something, you might say, well, I only drink on the weekends. It's like, yeah, dude, but you have fucking 25 drinks a weekend, every weekend. Because Friday you go out, you have 10, Saturday you have another 12, Sunday just a couple more while we watch the game. Just to really taper off into the weekday. And then you're like, yeah, but Monday through Thursday, I'm chill, I'm good. It's like, dude, you already fucking killed your liver through the weekend. Trust me. Right? So cut back on the obvious bullshit and then try to incorporate more whole foods, right? Good proteins, fish, chicken, beef, whole grains, right? You could do whole grain pasta. I've seen some of that and I've tried some of that. I think it's pretty good if you're tired of like rice and sweet potatoes and things like that. So change your eating habits, right? Make sure you're taking care of your body, right? And doing this will help you lose some fat, build muscle, right? And obviously give you the energy to even do those things in the first place. The benefit of body game is that number one, clothes are going to fit you better, right? And I'll talk about style a little bit towards the end here, but that's super important as a guy. I think the clothes you wear, and again, I won't get too into it until we get to the point about style, but a lot of that comes from the person who wears it. Again, like person A and person B could be wearing the exact same outfit, but the who wore it better, it's going to be the guy who's in better shape, right? So understand that. And then these last two things that I've already kind of been hinting at, your confidence and the energy you have is going to skyrocket. And that's going to help in all different sorts of situations when you're in these interactions with people, right? So understand you don't need to be a power lifter or some fucking superhuman. Just be in shape and be healthy. All right. Grooming essentials. Grooming in general, I'm going to try to encapsulate here into the big three, right? And you can see them right here: skincare, haircut, teeth. Everything else, Yeah, you can go in depth to like your, cut your nails, right? That might be an honorable mention here. Some of you guys don't fucking trim your nails and they get dirty as shit. It's disgusting, right? But the big three that I think are you're going to see the most impact in terms of your look are right here. Skincare is huge, man. I used to have horrific acne when I was coming up. Like probably not as bad as some cases. Maybe you guys have had even some worse ones, but growing up, I really can't remember having clear skin be after middle school. Middle school through high school, through pretty much most of college until I finally started figuring this shit out. So, at a minimum, you need to wash your face with a cleanser and you need to moisturize twice a day when you wake up in the morning and then before you go to bed at night, right? Do your research on what type of skin you have, right? And different skin problems that you can kind of see, like research it. Oh, why does my face have these black spots? What does a blackhead versus a whitehead, whatever the fuck you're commonly dealing with, right? And then you'll find products that are tailored to that, right? You have hyperpigmentation, so you get this sort of serum, or you have wrinkles, so you do this, or whatever it happens to be, bags under your eyes, so you get the eye mask or whatever, guys. There's products for these things, but you need to be proactive, do your research, and then actually stick to it, right? You have to be consistent. That's why it's, a skincare routine. You should be consistently doing this, right? And using these products and taking care of your skin, and it will get better with time, right? It's something that isn't going to be immediate, right? A lot of times you're not going to just do this for a day or a week and it's just like, oh, I've got glass skin and you never have to do it again. It's a continuous preventative process, right? So keep that in mind. But having clear skin, guys, it's an absolute game changer, right? And it doesn't have to be glass perfect, but you can't have a fucking pepperoni face. Okay? It's unsettling. It's hard for people to make eye contact with you and things like that. Like you'll find people aren't as present because they're so focused on your fucking face, right? It's too glaring, it's too obvious, right? So take care of your skin, number one. Number two, the hair. It could be a fucking fade. It could be, you guys can't see right now, but cornrows. That's what's hiding under the do-rag, by the way. It could be a freaking afro, which I pretty much rock when I don't have these in. Whatever it is, it needs to be well maintained. And I've been pretty bad with this at times, especially when I was growing out my hair, of not keeping it maintained, right? Not keeping it very well tapered, right? My edges, keeping it pretty clean, getting a haircut for me, I'd say every 2 weeks is pretty much when I need to go kind of get a lineup. If you're growing out your hair, fine, get the lineup. If you're not, you have the buzz cut, dude, every 2 weeks, right? 2 weeks, three at the max, you should be getting a haircut. Keep that shit in line, right? Don't let these fucking neck hairs start drooping down and get all messy, and the beard too, guys, right? If you guys have facial hair, keep that shit in check, man. Your hair should be well maintained, right? Makes a huge difference in how you look, and play around with your hairstyle, right? The hairstyle based on your face shape, I'm sure you've heard this a ton. Do some research on that. Quick Google search will tell you, hey, I have this sort of face shape. Or there's even apps on your phone now. I see, I haven't had Snapchat for a while, but I think Snapchat had them at one point. I think Instagram has a filter that kind of like you can literally just scroll through a bunch of the face types and see, oh, okay, I have an oval face or a more square face. And through some quick research, you can find out, well, these sort of hairstyles look better with this sort of face shape, right? So figure that out, try some stuff, but keep your hair well maintained, well groomed, and that goes for like moisturizing it as well, right? For some of my black guys out there, if your hair is like all dry, if you guys got fucking dandruff, I got like bare minimum, guys, you got to take care of that shit, right? You should be using a shampoo and you should have a conditioner, bare fucking minimum, and maybe a leave-in if you have like a lot of volume or something like that. Get this shit sorted out, guys. Your hair makes a big difference, and it's a big part of what people recognize when they look at your face. And so are your teeth. Keep them white, keep them straight, free of food and plaque, right? Buy a fucking tongue scraper, use mouthwash, keep it smelling nice, keep it looking good, right? If you guys brush your teeth, honestly, you get any of these like Colgate white products. Honestly, if you're brushing actually twice a day, every day, your teeth's gonna look pretty damn white, right? They should look pretty all right. As far as them being straight, you might have to spend a little money. I'll be honest with you guys, I kind of got blessed with this. I've never had braces in my life. There might be a time down the line where I get some Invisalign, but just to be extra about it, but I've never really needed it. I know plenty of other people are not as lucky. Get that shit fixed. Get that shit fixed. Again, these main big three things that I've pulled out, it's all things that are so largely prominent when somebody looks at you that it will take away from the conversation and it diminishes your attractiveness a lot, right? So take care of these three things first. If you're wondering where to start, this is where you start in terms of your grooming. Last point I'll mention, style. No need to follow trends, treads, what type of there. The important things are this: the fit, the fit of your clothes, not too baggy, not too fucking skin tight, cutting off the circulation to your arms. And guys, I've been both, right? I'm kind of in the crib right now, so I got something that's a little baggy, but it's not overly crazy, right? And it's clean, it's not wrinkled. The color coordination, I'm kind of just wearing all black. I don't know if you guys can see my shorts over there, but just some black shorts. Color coordination, you shouldn't look like a freaking rainbow. Don't go too crazy with the colors, guys, right? Stick to neutral colors, earth tones maybe. You don't need to be wearing these bright yellows and bright orange, right? It's not fucking EDC, right? So, and dress for the occasion, right? Don't be afraid to try new stuff and build out your wardrobe. Your style is actually a pretty big part of the perception that people will have of you, right? And the judgment that they make up, right? Because how you're dressed kind of tells a story, right? Subconsciously, whether you notice it or they notice it or not, it's happening, right? Somebody might take another person more seriously just because they're in a suit, just because they look a little more well put together, even though this person who looks a little more raggedy or whatever is actually more intelligent and is actually that person's boss. But initially, that just doesn't seem like the case. It's human nature. It doesn't, right? Instinctively, our brains are going to think, go with the person who's more put together, right? So that's kind of the big thing with style is put together. Does it work? And what that looks for you guys, I'm not going to try to break it down and put you in this box because I think style is that, right? It's an expression of you as a person, whatever, but understand that there are sort of basics and essentials of every wardrobe that I think you should have. Some button-down shirts, t-shirts, long sleeves, uh, certain pants, some good fitted jeans, right? And make sure the stuff fits you well. Make sure it's decent quality. Keep it clean. Don't have it wrinkled, and don't go crazy with the colors, right? And you'll be just fine as along with your body being on point. You'll be just fine, brother. Trust me. So I'm gonna end the video here with a mention of the ugly truth, right, behind being pretty. These are just a couple things that maybe I've noticed or I've noticed some of my friends have, guys and girls. I think both of these, aside from maybe the last point, apply to both men and women. I've seen it, like I said, maybe something I've experienced just in terms of working on my looks and stuff, or some of my other friends who I would say are pretty attractive people as well. It's not uncommon that people are going to be intimidated by you to a degree, right? And this sort of intimidation is kind of subtle at first, but I think, for example, a common misconception I think guys get is, oh, I'm going to work on my looks and then girls are going to approach me. Mm, not really. Number one, the societal norm is still pretty traditional in the sense that, right, women don't really go up to men like that. So that's number one. But the other part of it is you're almost putting yourself like as you build it up and up and up and up. People like vice versa of you as a guy going up to a hot girl, you almost feel like you don't deserve that person, or you feel that that person is better than you if your intent is to pursue them in X way. And the same will happen reverse. It's not talked about as much, but the same absolutely happens in the reverse. So people go, well, I don't know, that's not such a bad thing. That means like they'll be warmed up when I come and approach them. Not necessarily, right? They might, again, just discredit themselves, right? You're not in my bracket, so they'll just ignore it. They'll shut it down. As a guy, you're a fuckboy. As a girl, you're maybe too promiscuous, or you could get any man you want. So whatever, it you put it out of your mind. That could be tough, right? Because it could be hard to forge relationships with people, right? It won't be impossible, but it will be more difficult for sure. Whereas if you're unattractive, as long as your communication skills are pretty good, like your soft skills are good, and you could still come off as like a chill dude and get past the first impression, and people kind of get to know you, and you can show a bit of your charisma and stuff, like that actually people will actually get drawn to that pretty quickly because they're not really intimidated by you, right? So it's kind of an interesting phenomenon on that. And I've experienced it a little bit, I think from both men and women. And it's not really an attraction thing, by the way, guys. It's quite literally just human beings judging each other and putting ourselves into like these brackets, which saying it here is so stupid, but when you're out and about going through your day, it happens like that. Like you can't grab it and just be like, "Ooh, whoa, 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 hold on," right? If you're super aware of it, maybe, but your instinctual thought is still going to be, okay, this person categorized. How does that person measure up to me? Ooh, they're like that. That's scary. Hmm. Maybe we shouldn't go talk to that person. If that person wants to be friends, I don't want to do it because I'll just end up disappointing them or I'll end up not being enough, right? It's honestly a lot more to do with other people, but unfortunately for you, person who might be trying to connect with that person anyhow, you might not be able to. Jealousy, insecurity from others around you. I've kind of already touched on the insecurity, but the jealousy aspect definitely gets flipped around. And I think this is a little more common in women, to be honest with you, and how women treat the pretty friend in the group. I see it all the time as a dude, like going out, especially at nighttime. I don't think I even have to speak to this point too much, but it can kind of suck, right? People will treat you actually the opposite of the halo effect because they're jealous of how people treat you for that halo effect and vice versa, or in contrast, treat them, right? And that gap is like, the fuck? This bitch isn't better than me. That dude's not better than me. What does he have I don't have? Right? Or and they want that thing, or they're right, they're just jealous, right? Very common. And like I said, I think I've seen it more in women, but maybe that's just my own personal experience. Maybe guys are just as much, but the chattiness of it isn't so apparent. The other thing is one I don't think is talked about too much in its expectations others have of you may be raised, and they could be even almost unrealistic. But essentially, it's kind of a long-term effect of the halo effect, right? It's a long-term consequence of the halo effect where, okay, this person is categorizing you as boom, 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 boom. Well, okay, subsequently, when the interaction starts, like if you're not ticking those boxes, that can be like hugely disappointing, right? Because somebody's first impression and expectation isn't being met. And you say, well, that's not fair. Well, life's not fair, right? And these instincts, that person's not trying to do that 9 times out of 10, but it happens, right? And it's like, guy comes up to a girl. He's tall, handsome, dressed well, did all these things that we just talked about, right? Groomed, looking good, comes up and it's kind of stupid. He's talking super slow, he's stuttering a lot. Um, he's a little mean, right? He's like shoving his friends around, calling them names. Right? And she sees this and it's like, oh, okay. And you say, well, yeah, anybody acting that way would be fucking dismissed immediately. But it's so much more impactful because the expectation was higher due to the halo effect. Whereas, like, if a fucking really ugly fucking dude who looks slobbery and, well, you're almost expecting that from them, like, oh my God, this guy's fucking crazy. Whereas, like, if the first guy had did that, the tall, handsome dude, girl would kind of be like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, there would be a shock almost of like, what the fuck? So on a less intense level, though, people might just unconsciously expect things from you, whether it's in your career, in a relationship, right? I think a common one for guys is girls will typically, for like a more attractive man, they will want to date that guy long term. Nothing wrong with that. But the expectation of a long term relationship versus a short term, there's obviously a major gap in expectation there, right? And you're already being set here because you, as the attractive guy, you're just viewed this way as having all these good characteristics. So, yeah, the woman would want to keep you around longer. And again, that's more boxes to check where if you're not checking them, it can be very disappointing, right? It could be a shock. It could be very sudden, right? So that's kind of hard to paint the picture of. Hopefully, I kind of did a good job explaining that one. But the last one here, pertaining more so to men, is not being seen as a man's man, right? You get too prettied up. There's kind of this trend, and some stuff I've seen is downright crazy to me. Just some of the reels I see kind of related to like looks maxing, looking better, things like that. But a lot of times the comments will be like, it'll be like a morning routine video. Guy's doing his skincare. Maybe it's like a Sunday. He's like, my Sunday reset skincare. I don't have a particular video in mind. I'm just trying to pick out some aspects of these videos, but he'll be like wearing like a face mask, right? He does the full mask, hydration mask, and nose strip, and whatever the fucking comments are all gay, gay. Oh, didn't realize we were being women now in 2025. Gay, gay, pride flag, pride flag. Like, trying to look better doesn't make you less of a man, right? Understand that. And I'm speaking to guys who I've had this insecurity before, kind of coming up through high school, before I kind of told myself, like, hey, I actually give a fuck about the way I look. And then also learning this, that people who look better get treated better. And a lot of that is largely due to you looking better is a result of the effort you're putting into yourself. Obviously, people have different starting points with their genetics and whatever, but you looking better is a representation of how you treat yourself. And if you treat yourself well, you look good, and that reflects to other people, and they will treat you better. The halo effect almost is inevitable. It makes sense, honestly, when you say it like that, right? So try to understand that, but also understand there's going to be people who just don't feel that way. They don't. They think it's stupid. They think it's not being a man, whatever, whatever, right? And at that point, it's really up for you to decide what you want. Certain things you might do, certain things you might not do, right? Out of the norm, in the norm, whatever it may be. But that's kind of for you to decide. I kind of just wanted to end on this because while I do think it is very important, I want you guys to be aware of these things, right? You can't have your cake and eat it too. Not everything is, you know, green, merry, rainbows, and, thumbs up and stuff. There will be some cons, but I would argue the pros far outweigh the cons for the most part, right? And I'm not saying I'm the most attractive person in the world, but I am saying as a person who's worked on my looks, worked to look better as the years have gone by, I have definitely experienced some pros and some cons, but I don't regret trying to make myself better. And I think it's a very big part of the journey, honestly, and building my own self-esteem, building my own confidence, and building who I want to be in the end game, right? So if you guys like this content, give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. Deuces.